What's up, chat? How's it going, everybody? It's Tuesday. We are getting tactical once again. And, yeah, that's what's up. We're a little later today than normal because I had an interview earlier that I had to wrap up. And that was really cool. It's for the Tyrannosaurus channel, ! Tyrannosaurus. We will have, I'll have more information about that, I think. There we go. Throw that in the chat there so folks can take a peek. More about that over on that channel, I think, over the next week or so is likely when I'll have some more info. But today we are returning to our regular chicanery and talking about some undefeated at 40K lists. I got some new equipment, by the way. I'm on a new camera. I got this camera for live streaming. It's very impressive and expensive, but also the live stream this last weekend, I couldn't use it because the ceiling was too low and its field of vision wasn't big enough at only, whatever, like 8 feet off the ground or something. A little awkward, but it looks like I'm going to be streaming probably next month and maybe, or just certainly in November and probably next month in October as well, so we'll get to use it there. But yeah, hopefully it looks good. Also, I'm on a new desk. I got a new desk. It's kind of sweet. It's, I don't know why my robot is just like chilling in the chat right now, just posting messages. That's weird. Look at this cool thing, chat. I hope this doesn't sound bad on the microphone. Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh no, I unplugged my monitor. All right, I'll have to fix that. This thing's really cool. It goes up and down. I love it. All right, I'll fix my monitor so I can read the chat. 1 sec, everybody. I don't know what I did to it. All right, well, let me fix it. What a moron. Come on back in, monitor. Ugh. What the fuck? I'm trying to plug it in. Oh my god. There it goes. Not working. What have I done, chat? I've ruined everything. That's okay. I might just have to get a little creative here. I'll fix that later. All right, let me see if I need to reposition my stuff. We're doing it live. I think I can do this on my one monitor. I'm so good at this game, chat. I'm a consummate professional. Everything's fine. We're all fine here now. How are you? At least I didn't unplug my microphone. That would have been awkward. That would have been impossible, actually. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna fix my display thing so that it doesn't look weird. What? All right. Well, this isn't the greatest thing ever, but it's okay. All right. Good enough, I think. That was very stupid. That was a very stupid thing I did. But it was cool, though. I like that it goes up. I like it does uppy downy. All right, here we go. Let's talk about lists, folks. We got some lists to talk about. Con Total Gaming. What's your tournament last weekend? He's brought a Seraptic Heavy Construct. Fuck yeah, dude. That's what I like to hear. Oh, this is a little bit funky. I don't know what I did to this monitor. Because it still detects it as a monitor, but it just turned off. Did I like physically turn off the actual monitor? I think I might have. All right. Well, we'll figure that out. We had a weird weekend this weekend, by the way, chat. We had not too many events, a couple larger ones on the bigger side, but not too many. But what we did see is all these fucking Astra Militarum players come out of the woodwork, winning their events. What's up with that? I don't think that's too surprising, to be honest. The Astra Militarum rule, and they've always been kind of a good faction, but a little flying under the radar. I don't want to say always been kind of a good faction, but they are pretty good right now, I think. Pariah Nexus 10, it feels like it is pretty solid for Astra Militarum, especially being very attritional. And Astra Militarum are good at just attriting people. So it makes sense. Plus, you can also do like weird chicanery with secret missions, and depending on the build, you can do funny stuff. But they did take down a bunch of events this week. We also saw some Adeptus Sororitas, as is to be expected. Thousand Suns also doing okay, and we watched Thousand Suns this weekend at the NEO circuit, the circuit championships. That was insane. The finals was a Crude Hunting Pack with like 150 models against Thousand Suns. Unfortunately, having a trillion flamethrowers is a pretty good answer to 150 models, so that was pretty good. But pretty sick games over the course. Definitely go check those games out if you haven't already. But yeah, that's what we got going on. Let's dive into it. And I feel like I should maybe not bury the lead here, and we should just talk about Astra Militarum and what Astra Militarum are doing. But they did take down a couple of events. The Justice for COQ, I believe was a smaller one. I think this was only like 19 players, if I remember correctly. Did get taken down by Astra Militarum at 4-1, but that just means that they had a loss in their record, but were top ranked in terms of tiebreakers. So this was not an undefeated list, but it was pretty close. Yeah. So we got Michael Trad over here. And I guess the interesting question is going to be how different these are, because there are, in my opinion, at least two, but probably more viable Militarum builds. Lord Solar Leontis is kind of optional. I think you can, or you could leave him at home, potentially, if you were taking the Tempester Prime Warlord. Which I think is a really cool mechanic, by the way. I wish they would do it more often. More stuff that like having multiple options for warlords and the special bonuses they give you seems like a really cool way to introduce pseudo sub-faction mechanics into 40k. And I hope they do that more often in new codexes. But I also think that Lord Solar is an interesting inclusion as a unit that can buff so many things, right? He can order anything in the faction. So he applies the army ability to literally anything, which can enable a lot of different builds. So we have a Tempestus command squad, one platoon command squad for Lord Solar to hop into with a infantry unit. Tank commander, there's the infantry squad for the guys. Catachin jungle fighter unit. A Chimera for the Catachin Jungle Fighters, most likely. Attilan Rough Riders, cool. Plus a Basilisk to slow down enemy stuff. Big Bulgarian unit. And what is this? Double Tempestus Scions, 2 5s. Double Scout Sentinels. It's double Demolisher Rogaldorn. It's interesting to see the just regular old Demolisher in a list, because so often it feels like in the Lord Solar lists we are taking tank commanders in place of demolishers. You definitely get, it's 20 extra points and it requires Lord Solar to order you, but then you get the order in addition. But I guess the Lehman Russ Demolisher also gets the detachment ability because he's a squadron unit, which is certainly helpful as well. So there's definitely an argument to be made for sure.
Will Guard get new attackers with their codex, or will they remain the infamous putty men?
The infamous putty men. I would hope that they get new catechins, because they have had, the catechin command squad has been redesigned. Plus, they have the new characters. They have Sergeant Ripper or whatever, and I think there's another guy who got kind of like re-sculpted recently, and those characters look great. And I would love to see those. I would love to see new catechins with that aesthetic, which would be awesome. Hope we get new Cadians. Well, we already got new Cadians last edition. I would be shocked if we got new Cadians. That would be fascinating to me. What's interesting to me is that, and I have a sneaking suspicion that some of these datasheets might go the way of the dodo. What's interesting to me is that we have a Deathcore unit. Oh, actually, what they said is that they're going to be doing Deathcore releases. So actually, I doubt we will get new catechins. I think we will get more Deathcore stuff, right? We'll probably get plastic Death Riders and Marshals and all that stuff. It's weird to me that we have a Cadian infantry squad, right? And we have a Deathcore squad and we have a catechin squad. But you can still take this squad, just the generic one, that like doesn't have a boxed set. It's just, there's nothing, like, what is an infantry squad? I don't know. I think it's just any of the other ones in your army. And I guess like it could like theoretically be represented by the other stuff. I guess like it's an interesting question to me. I don't know why I have this open, to be honest. It's an interesting question to me whether or not any of the other Militarum infantry are available on Games Workshop. This is Warhammer Community. We want to go to Games Workshop. Because I have a sneaking suspicion they are not. And that kind of speaks to me that we may see that regular infantry profile go the way of the dodo. And if you have like OG infantry squads, they're just supposed to be Cadians. Because they literally are Cadians and regular infantry don't have a model. So like it would be like Steel Legion or Vostroyans, but I believe that those are all OOP. What is this? What are these models? These are cool. What? Ostromandeus. What are these? I've never seen these models in my life. These sick. These are really sick. Why am I looking at this? Is this a Calexis assassin? He looks like a Calexis assassin. He's accompanied by Stentor, I-52. Oh, so he's a Servitor. Boring. You could use that guy as a Calexis assassin. He looks exactly like one. Wild. That's an insane thing. So, yeah, I don't think that there are any of the other old guys available. So I don't know what you would use to represent them. So, with their new ethos of only including stuff in the codex that has a kit, I think that regular infantry profile could go away. Because these are specifically Cadians, the re-released unit from last edition. And there's no generic guys anymore. Oh, Slime Arbo got a new model. That was kind of recent too, right? That was a couple years ago. Do I remember the Guard leak last year that said it was going to be Deathcore release along with Rules leak? Do I remember the Guard leak last year that said it was going to be Deathcore? I don't remember what you're talking about specifically, but Warhammer Community has said that the new codex will focus on Deathcore. Their recent preview article about Militarum specifically said that Deathcore were getting new sculpts or new miniatures to the range. So, would it seem more likely now? I guess yes, in the fact that I think it's like literally been confirmed. So, that's where I would go with that. Infantry models are now legend. You're supposed to take Cadians infantry. Well, the old infantry models were also Cadians. They were all Cadians. Everyone was a Cadian previously. They were just the old Imperial Guard infantry kit was just called Cadian Shock Troopers. Yeah, these guys. Oh, they were called Cadian Infantry, I guess. So I guess theoretically, like, this is what you were supposed to use. But they were called Cadians. I thought at one point they were called Cadian Shock Troopers. But these ones are gone, though, so I don't know if, like, they would ask you to use those at all. Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this unit went the way of the Dodo, though, and you would just meant to use your old infantry as Cadians now. It would be a little weird. I kind of like the idea that, you know, you can build your army however you want, and they're like different, you know, chapters essentially. I think you could use the chapter mechanics to from Space Marines to represent different Militarum regiments, and I think that would be interesting. And I wonder if that's a direction they would go, because right now this is really the only squad that like represents kind of non-aligned infantry units. It's just kind of weird right now that you can have like all the Catachan and the Deathcore and stuff all together. It's a little bit strange, but I don't know. It feels like that's almost more appropriate for Space Marines than it is for Chaos Space Marines. Or for Chaos Space Marines? What? For Militarum. Because I don't know if I've ever seen... I guess I'm not as much of a lore fiend as some people. But I don't know if I've seen, like, oh, we have our Catachan squad and our, whatever, Cadian squad in the same, like, you know, troop transport. But usually, like, everyone's from the, you know, the whatever, the Catachan 1/10 or something. But Space Marines always, it seems like, travel in like with individual tactical squads of different Space Marine chapters. So it's kind of weird mechanically that Militarum can mix and match all their infantry, and Space Marines have to take only one thing. But I don't know. That's neither here nor there. This is kind of a normal list. It's interesting to see the Leman Rush Demolishers back on the table. They're so expensive at 200. I think a lot of people have moved to the Punishers and the not the Punishers, excuse me, the Eradicators. Rather than demos, but the demos are still so scary. And it definitely smooths your orders out if you're also taking Bulgren, because then you can order the auxiliaries with Lord Solar, and you can use the tank commander's orders just on the squadron units. All right, we're moving over here. This one is Riverhammer 2024. Eero Sokonen? Sokonen? Sokonen. I don't know. We're going with that. Also undefeated with Astra Militarum. Kind of a similar thing, it looks like. We got the Lord Solar, we got the Tempestuous Command Squad, the 1 Platoon Command Squad. This is double tank commanders. Spicy. That is a little bit more what I expect. I guess they're 205. I think I mentioned they were 220 before, but I think that's with Grand Strategist, which you often see on them. We got triple Catachan Jungle Fighters, double Chimeras, an Armored Sentinel Brick. I think we've talked about lists like this in the past. The Armored Sentinel Brick is such a spicy reinforcement because they all come with the Hunter Killer missiles. So if you drop them in Strategic Reserve and then like rapid ingress them back in, you can order them with the Tank Commander the turn they come back in, and then they come in and fire 3 las cannons and 3 Hunter Killers back at you. Which gets kind of spicy. Like they'll rip a tank up and then die, and then come back and then do it again. So for 2 CP, you just get these like 6d6 damage gunshots one more time. 3 Bulgren, double Hellhounds with a hull-mounted multi-melta and an Inferno Cannon. And a Tempestus Scion unit. Yeah, the model the old Cadian kit is gone. I think that is meant to be what you're supposed to use. And I think the implication is that you're supposed to use Cadians to be either infantry squads or Cadian shock troopers, but it's weird to me that you can still take both in a single army, right? Where you just have two units represented by an identical kit that have like kind of very distinct roles on the tabletop, you know what I mean? Like, Cadian shock troopers have vastly different weapon and attachment options. They have objective secured, whereas the regular infantry squad is a little bit different. So I would be curious to see how they tackle that in the new codex. Bring back white shields. Yeah, we'll just take huge conscript bricks. Bring back conscripts with 1 million guys, just 1,000 of them. Guard need more orders for infantry. Yeah, I think infantry... I would like to see infantry get, like, some sort of order, like, spalling. Like, Militarum used to be able to issue an order and then broadcast that aura to nearby squads. And it got a little silly, because you could do, like, one order and issue it to everyone. But if, like, one order could hit 2 infantry squads, that would feel a little bit better. Or if you had better ways to issue orders... to units and transports. That one always feels a little clunky to me. Like, you can issue orders after the officer disembarks a transport, but if the officer was not in a transport and a unit disembarks, then they're just shit out of luck. And it has felt a little clunky because you're always required to, like, have officers cycling in and out of transports to make mechanized play work in Militarum, and it doesn't feel great. It's not the end of the world, because usually your stuff dies as soon as it disembarks anyway, but you just lose efficiency if it lives, which is, like, always feels strange. I would love to see a little bit more kind of order stuff. Maybe, like, I don't know. I feel like orders should be like a limited resource, and then they get issued at points over the course of the game, of the round or something. Like you have, like, an officer might have an order pool, and they, like, each officer gets 1 order token or whatever, and you can spend that token once per battle round to issue an order, and at the start of a phase or something. So you're like, first rank fire, second rank fire, start of shooting. If you haven't been issued an order already in this turn, get +1 to hit or something or whatever. So, like, Cabal points? I could see that for sure. Be way too hard to track? I don't think so. Feels more complicated to track them right now, to be honest. Cool if they had upgrade screws for different heads, you could further represent them as things other than Cadians. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, I think, because, like, guard infantry are so distinct that it's never just the helmet that changes, you know, right? Like, Space Marines feel much more uniform than Imperial Guard, which feels weird. It feels like it shouldn't work that way, but that's how it do be right now. So, like, you know, you look at Mordians, right? And they're just, like, totally different. They got epaulets and a little hat and a totally different, like, pleated, they're like weird pantaloon things. And that's, like, so different than, like, Talarn, where they get, you know, a poncho and a turban or whatever. Orders shouldn't be affected by battle shock. That one is weird. The weirdest part to me about Militarum orders is the fact that, not that you can't order battle shock stuff, it's that a lot of their other mechanics also care about battle shock. And it's interesting. It's like not a... It's like a parasitic mechanic. It's like a degenerative mechanic where instead of getting a bonus if you are battle shocked, you just become unavailable if you are battle shocked, which doesn't feel great. Have they said anything about the next codex? Yeah, they said it was going to be like Deathcore themed, I think was the idea. All right. So we got some more stuff to talk about. The Bajo Open. Xavier Barrera. Una defeated him again with Astra Militarum. Lord Solar. Tempestus Command Squad. Platoon Command Squad. No tank commanders. Are we all infantry this time? Catachin, Chimera, Bulgrin, Hellhound. Double Rogaldorns. A big Tempestus Ion Squad for the Tempester Prime to jump into. And a Cyclops Defolition Vehicle for actions. I feels like Lord Solar's orders are getting stretched to their max in this one, because we have literally no way to order the tanks besides Lord Solar. And he's only got the 3, so he can't order the tanks and the Bulgrin at the same time, because nobody else, at least to my knowledge, nobody else issues orders to the Bulgrin, because they're not regiment units. What's a little bit interesting is that we have Grand Strategist on the Tempestus Command Squad. He does have the Command Rod, so we can double order. And I guess what we could do, theoretically, is drop 20 Tempesters and get orders on both Tempester squads. I guess here's my question: the Command Squad, the Grand Strategist does not let you order yourself twice, does it? Actually, I don't know if I've ever considered that before. Well, Wahapedia is dead, I guess. So, oh jeez. What a mess, Wahapedia! What have you done? We're going to 39k, I guess. Grand Strategist says you can issue 1 additional order. Okay. So you're actually probably fine. So I guess that would be the reason to take that enhancement there, because he could just give himself +1 to hit and +1 attack. Unless there's a restriction that I'm not aware of. Like, I always sort of assumed that it took 2 officers to order people, but I guess not. Am I a crazy person? Maybe I'm insane. Oh, you can't use Grand Strategist when you drop down. I knew that. Yeah. I specifically didn't take it on the Tempester Command Squad for that reason. All orders are once per battle round. Right, that doesn't matter though, right? Orders seem to slow the game down. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the case. I wonder if there would be like an overhaul of the mechanic that just makes it like a doctrine you choose every turn or something, where you're like, one of your officers can issue an order. Or maybe just make it so that like each officer issues an order and it becomes like an aura or something, and that just affects keyworded units in that area. Like this tank commander is going to issue take aim, and all the tanks within 12 inches get take aim this round. As long as they're within 12 inches of him or something. I don't know. It does feel very complex. Like it feels unnecessarily complex just for the keywording. And part of it, I think, to be fair, and this is probably, if I were to redesign the Militarum faction today, part of it would be that I think I would just axe almost all of the keyword restrictions in the faction. It is a fucking nightmare, dude. Some guys can only order regiment. Some guys can only order squadron. Some guys can only order specific keywords. Some guys can issue to everyone, but only specific orders. Some stratagems only affect specific of those keywords. You're like, oh my god, my head is gonna explode. And having played a bunch of games with them now, holy shit, is it unnecessarily complicated. It feels like the faction is kind of straightforward, like you mostly just move forward and shoot. But they were like, we're going to introduce mechanical complexity by just making the army too difficult to play. And you're like, why? Why are you doing that? That's stupid. It's funny that Gaunt's ghosts can order themselves, yeah. So that Gaunt can only issue orders to, or can issue orders to his unit, but is the only officer that can, which is thematically appropriate, right? But also he's like a commissar, and commissars can only order like 2 orders, except he's a different guy, so he can order anything. It's like bizarre. It's super, super weird. Yeah, just make it to everyone. That would smooth things over. For sure, quite a bit. If you're just like, I have this many orders, here, I'm going to issue them. Like, everyone's in range to get an order. So I'll just issue them. Here you go. But now it's like, you have to track which order is going where to make sure you have the right keyworded orders for the right number of guys. It's like very convoluted. Anyway, it's interesting to see the faction see so much success. And we did see them almost, they got a little... kind of far in the game that I played today, or the event that I streamed this past weekend. They did win round 1 out of 3. They went down round 2 to Tau, I think. They got run over a little bit. Turns out when railguns don't have to... Railguns can actually punch through armor saves. You don't have invuln saves. Things get really, real rough. Orders could be like doctrines, but you get a second bonus if you have an attached officer. I can see that. Yeah, like I could see... I don't know. I feel like it just becomes like Tyranids at some point. You're just like, what if you choose an ability... and then they get an enhanced bonus while they're within 12 inches of an officer. And you're just like, we're just doing synapse now. And I think that the awkward part is I don't know. The awkward part is making that work. I would like to see it maybe just be army-wide or be like an aura effect instead of it being unit by unit. It gets really awkward. I think that it being a persistent aura that each officer chooses is probably the way to go. And then if you have a unit in multiple, you just choose which one they want to be affected by. I think that's the way to do it. Because it also incentivizes you to embed command squads into your units, like into your formations, which I think is also thematically what they want you to be doing. Right now, like, the only command squad is the radio team that sits in the back of the table and radios Lord Solar's orders, like, all the way across. But I think what they would prefer you to do is take, like, oh, I'm going to have, like, this one command squad here to, like, buff these, like, 5 infantry. And then you actually start playing platoons. I think that's probably the way to actually do it. All right, we fixed out the Astra Militarum codex, chat. There you go. And then just make infantry affect all infantry and vehicles affect all vehicles. And then we don't have to do this like dumb regiment squadron thing. Ta-da! A little sad that we're not seeing any of like the interesting Tempesta Scion lists this week. All the lists were largely the same. It was like Solar with Bullgrin and then 2 to 3 battle tanks sitting in behind all that stuff. But it is an archetype that works. So, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do I think they will buff Vanquishers into railguns? No. No, I don't think so. I think the Vanquisher is fine. I don't think I would need any changes to Vanquishers. It's like a hyper spiky gun, but you get them super cheap, and when they convert, it's fucking nuts. You just, as soon as that like discarding Sabo gets through the ion field, oh boy. Does whatever you're shooting at get pasted very quickly. Order this turn is army-wide take aim. Not even maybe like this turn. Like you could do that, right? But then it's just like it's just a different doctrine kind of effect. But you would be like, this officer is going to issue take aim, and then like he broadcasts a +1 to hit aura, right? To all his infantry guys. That would be cool. So I think the tank commander should go back to BS3. No. I think they're fine. They can still be ordered, which is why they don't have the bonus ballistic skill. But I think the problem with tank commanders is that because they have exactly the same capabilities as a Leman Russ, they're obviously a little bit different now. They have Death Befitting an Officer instead of the Leman Russ ability, whichever they're attached to. As soon as you make their weapon profile any more efficient than a regular Leman Russ, then they immediately invalidate the regular Leman Russ, which is what has happened to tank commanders for like the last 2 or 3 editions, is that you never saw, or you very rarely, I should say, saw standard Leman Russ as long as the commander was BS3, because you would just take a commander. And you're like, oh, he couldn't be ordered, but if you're not take aiming, it doesn't matter because he already has the thing built in. They should get squadron keyword. Then they could just order themselves. Like, yeah, I think it's probably fine. It's a difficult, it's like a fine line to tread, because I do think that once you give them the ability to improve their own stats, then you are highly incentivized to take them instead of Leman Russ. Like that +1 ballistic skill is so important. So it's like, if I were going to take a regular Leman Russ that hits on 4s, to buff it, I would need a tank commander, which means I'm spending twice as many points. But if I just took a tank commander, then he would hit himself on 3s, right? So you're just like, without additional support being required, it's a little bit weird. If you could issue orders only to other units, then I think it would be interesting. But you would probably just have 2 tank commanders ordering each other. I don't like that they don't get lethal. Yeah, for sure. No, the lethal thing, I think, was an unintended crossfire to the ability being upgraded, right? Because it used to be lethal hits when you remain stationary, but that ability is trash. Not only is lethal hits, like, not a very exciting army ability to get, but also you need to not move your unit. Okay. That's never happening. So, like, it's interesting that they keyworded it to squadron and regiment, but the fact that then half the army, like, randomly doesn't get the detachment ability is very counterintuitive, and I don't think that was intended at all. I could see it being while you get lethal hits while you're being affected by an order, excuse me. I think one thing that GW forgets to do a lot of times is, like, build together, like, faction identity. Like, a lot of times they'll choose a mechanic to build an army around, right? Like Tyranids. Do battle shock things. And you're like, okay, what do I get when they're battle shocked? I have an army ability that battle shocks enemies. I have a bunch of detachment abilities that key off battle shocking enemies. I have a bunch of, like, unit abilities that can battle shock enemies. What do I get? And they're like, nothing. Unless you take a Neurolictor. And you're like, why is that my ability then? Why if I am incentivized to battle shock people, why don't I then have a payoff for battle shocking? And it's that you have to take a 100-point lone operative, which is, like, wildly overcosted. And GW, I think, forgets to build that mechanical framework in. They go, oh, these guys should be the orders, these guys should be the order faction. And you're like, okay, cool. What do I get when I'm ordered? And they're like, just whatever the order is. And you're like, oh, that's it? Okay, thanks. Cool. I guess we'll, like, theme our stratagems to kind of be like orders, in that they get worse if you're a battle shocked, or if you're not, like, regiment keyworded. Oh, okay. Thanks. Weird. It only ever happened if your tanks are wrapped in combat. Yeah. I was like, my multi-melta gets lethal hits because I'm stuck with you. Oh, cool. I'm shooting your space marine, I get lethal hits with my multi-melta. I love this. Do I think we're getting a Scion detachment? I would be shocked if we didn't, for sure. Guard strats are pretty bad. Guard strats, yeah. Oh, Fields of Fire is good. Is it good? Fields of Fire is okay. Armored Might is good. Everything else is fucking horrible. Their strats are really bad. Which is unfortunate. I would love to see. Like, why is Fields of Fire restricted, like, keyword restricted? Why are they randomly restricted on whether or not you're battle shocked? Like, why is Armored Might only fight shooting phase? Like, I don't know, man. Not that I'm saying the faction is bad, because clearly they're good. It's just like a kind of a bafflingly designed faction. It feels like they were half-baked and never went through, like, a development process. Where you're like, well, playing these guys is actually a nightmare. Because I always forget what my rules are because they're too complicated. Speaking of which, chat, I think that is a lot of discussion about Astra Militarum. I would like to talk about Imperial Knights. Because if you'll notice, Imperial Knights had a hell of a weekend this week. The Roll for Damage GT and No Surrender 2024, both of which were relatively large, I believe. I think Roll for Damage was pretty big. Were won by Imperial Knights. We haven't seen Imperial Knights do very well since Pariah launched, and here they are. They're doing it. They're making a comeback. It's funny because the internal balance is good. Is it? It's okay, I guess. I guess, like, you do see, like, kind of some archetypes, but it feels like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of baked in. I don't know. You cannot give a carpet buff to a guard, otherwise artillery becomes too good. I don't know. I think they just nerfed the indirect fire keyword so many times that they've finally gotten around it. Like, nobody's bringing guard artillery now, and you could just buff them a million times and give them lethals and stuff.
It's like 10th Fed release Death Guard. Your army rule is -1 toughness in an aura, but only at 3 claps.
It was an expanding aura, at least, right? Like, it at least got bigger over the course of the game. But that was a not good army rule. And I wish that's another thing where it's like, why aren't more things keyed off contagion? Like, that was another bizarre one where you're like, all right, we have this whole contagion mechanic, and you're like, okay, cool, what is it? And like, it's an ever expanding aura, and a baseline gives you -1 toughness. You're like, oh, cool, what else does it do? Well, that's it. Oh, all right. Sick. Can I take an enhancement to buff it? I think this droning effect, is it droning contagion keyworded? That might be the one. Let me fact check myself here. Droning is the one. They had a battle shock payoff in contagion range was the one thing that they had going for them. Okay, cool. Thanks, G-Dub. I love my battle shock payoff in a faction that has a contagion mechanic and doesn't do battle shock stuff. And then they had this, like, the detachment had this objective marker, like objective control theme. It's just bizarre. Like, why aren't we doing things that affect things in a contagion range? And then we can, like, we can manipulate our contagion range and stuff. Like, I don't know. No, it's all about infecting objective markers. Okay, cool. Death Guard lost so much identity. Yeah. Yeah, I understand why they wouldn't bake in Feel No Pain. The -1 damage from 9th edition felt like it was very unique. Like, you had to, like, just fucking shoot a million bullets at him to kill him, and I was like, that felt okay. Maybe it was too strong in 10th, but also, like, you could play with their defensive profiles, because their toughness, like, generally speaking, went down, right? And they lost, like, Miasma of Pestilence. They lost, like, all their Feel No Pains. I think it would have been okay. But no. At least on subunits, you know what I mean? I don't know. Just weird. Just weird. Maybe, like, enemies in engagement range, or in contagion range, you get some sort of, like, bonus against. Whatever. We're talking about Imperial Knights now. I don't disagree on Death Guard, though. Death Guard feel bizarre. I like the more condensed design in 10th edition, more so than previous editions, but I do feel like sometimes they just forgot what they were doing halfway through the indexes. Which was a little unfortunate. You know? All right, we are over here in No Surrender 2024. Matthew Pierce with Imperial Knights. He is piercing his opponent with big wins. Rocking Canis Rex, Serasis Lancer, Knight Crusader. Double Warglaive, 1 Helverin. A Subductor Squad. These guys are super duper popular right now. Super cheap infantry. Plus a Calidus Assassin. Cerestus Knight Lancer has the Banner of Macarius Triumphant, so he locks objectives. Which is good, because this dude, let me tell you, we played a game on Sunday. Cerestus Lancer made all his 4+ involves and then ran me over. I was like, if that dude has a pretty good chance of just not dying to stuff, and when he doesn't die to stuff, you win. The game's over, and you have successfully won the game. We also have Mysterious Guardian and the Night Crusader, so he can jump around and get his Avenger Gatling Cannon on people. The Crusader profile is a little awkward because, like, if you compare him to a lot of the the other like big guys, I guess it's the Atropos, right? Is sort of the direct comparison. And I wonder what the points difference there is, because I believe that the Atropos is a little bit more expensive, but the Crusader just feels like so sad. Cerestus Atropos is $425. Holy shit, is it Atropos cheaper? What? What? Than a Knight Crusader? Is that right? No wonder this is the only knight you ever take. It's 20 points cheaper? Am I reading that right? Yeah, it's 20 points cheaper than Knight Crusader. The Knight Crusader gets sustained hits if it stands still, right? Cool, I guess. And he buffs the Helverins pretty well, so, like, I guess that's good. But also, doesn't the Atropos also give them +1 to hit? Against monsters or vehicles, and +1 to wound against Titanic? I don't know, man. Knight Crusader, I'm surprised there, buddy. Hate the fact that now you have to remember every single data sheet in 10th. I mean, I guess. It's like a data sheet is easier to internalize. Like, that information is easier to remember than a stratagem. You know what I mean? Like, a stratagem can just be like some sort of... a stratagem is like... what am I trying to say here? A stratagem is kind of opaque, right? So like a stratagem that it just exists inside your codex isn't represented anywhere on the table. So if your opponent has, let's say charitably, we're talking about in previous editions, your opponent has like 15 stratagems. That's a low ball. Every army had like a fucking 25 stratagems. It is much more difficult to remember what all of those 25 stratagems are than it is to look at a unit that has a unique silhouette on the tabletop and remember what that unit's one specific thing is. Because you get to start associating units, special, like models' special abilities, with their appearance in the tabletop, and there's no way to correlate that in with a stratagem, because the stratagems are just like nebulous. So I think I would prefer from a game readability standpoint that the units become more important than the stratagems that don't exist anywhere on the table. The thing that I miss, the complexity that I miss, is enhancements. That's where I think we lost a lot of ground, but it's neither here nor there. And I'm glad that we have less stratagems to remember. And to be fair, like a lot of the stratagems in 9th edition, you forgot because they were just mostly worthless. They were so niche and so bad. You're like, I can get exploding 6s on my very specific, like light infantry squad with no good guns. What a time to be alive. Well, I'm interested by this Knight Crusader pick here, champ. It's a rapid fire battle cannon and Avenger Gatling cannon, so it's all medium infantry clear. With Mysterious Guardian rather than the Atropos, which is a little bit heavier hitting. But I mean, clearly it worked out, and it might have been that the metagame was a little bit more infantry heavy. Kyle Murray, also roll for damage over here. Oh, shit. This list is wild. Dude, what? We left the big knights at home, chat. We have war dogs at home. The war dogs at home. 5 Helvrins, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excuse me, 6 Helvrins, 6 Warglaves. Maximum non-Forge World armatures, plus a naval breacher team. Navy breachers are 90. It's actually okay. It's a little expensive, I guess. But they get those wound rerolls on objectives. It's kind of sick. Plus inquisitorial agents, just a regular ass inquisitorial agent squad. No bonuses there. Rogue Trader Entourage is the warlord. So big benefit of having characters outside of your faction is that they can be selected as warlord. And I believe that the only restriction, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, the only restriction on Imperial agents like retinue abilities is that you cannot give Assassin's warlord. But that's just baked into Assassins. The other stuff you can just select to be your warlord just normally. So we're saving ourselves, 300 points on a big knight in order to take 2 additional armatures, basically. Do the Rogue Trader Entourages do anything cool? Not really. They can infiltrate. Oh, they can join the breacher team and then infiltrate it. Oh, okay. And then after deployment, they can go into reserve. So theoretically, you can attach them in with the breacher team, the Navy breacher team. You can infiltrate that whole unit, which becomes like 15 models. 14, I guess. And then if they don't have scouts, you've blocked their infiltrate, and you can just put them all in strategic reserve. That's actually sick. They also redeploy arbigers. They redeploy D3 battle line. The Navy breachers are battle line, right? Am I crazy? Oh, they're not. Just kidding. So they don't redeploy themselves. That's a little bit weird. They don't redeploy themselves, but they do redeploy D3 armigers. The breachers really aren't battle line? Wild. Yeah, to redeploy or put into strategic reserve. Do I believe that? Somebody with the codex, give me. I guess I'd look it up on my copy, but my second monitor is down right now. No, they are battle line. God. 39K, chat. Sometimes, I fucking swear. I swear. This service is out to get me. Come back. They heard me. They minimized all my windows. 39K Pro. Do not use them for reference. God damn, dude. I was only using them because Wowpedia was slow, but that's just straight up wrong. They also, they have grenades and stuff. That's how they use their little ghost skull thing. Yeah, I don't know. So you can redeploy the breachers. I knew I was not an insane, crazy person. And then if you roll high on the D3, you also get to redeploy armigers and stuff. So you could potentially put additional warglaves in reserve. You could start with 3 in reserve and then redeploy 3 more into reserve and just put your entire army into strategic. This list is sick. The more I look at this, the more I think this list fucking rules, dude. What a creative thing. What the fuck? And then also, you're just playing Armiger Helvrins on Moss are terrifying because you can stack the, or it's not stack, but you can get them +1 AP. And then they have the anti-fly 2+ thing as well. So there's a lot of situations. You're playing against Thousand Suns, and Magnus literally peeks one molecule of his body out of line of sight, and he immediately dies to Armiger Helvrins. You put like 30 shots wounding on 2s into him at AP2. And then like also having redeployments, also everything has floating hit and wound rerolls. This just rules. It's so cool. All right. Oh, get excited. It's been so long since we've seen a cool list, chat. Everything has been so normal. That list is awesome. All right. What else should we talk about? Oh, yeah. You can buff him to strength 10, right? Yeah. Get T9 vehicles, get fucking wrecked. Yeah, I forgot about the +1 strength. It's always the +1 AP. And then, because they always, like, usually wound on 2s if I care about what they're shooting at. That might just be me, though, because I play nothing but demons. But yeah, the +1 strength is actually super relevant. So we got some Chaos Space Marines that went undefeated. A bunch of Chaos Space Marines, actually. Chaos Space Marines, I think, have kind of resurgenced. I think I'm willing to say, and I mean, I'd be interested. I haven't looked up stats in this, but I think I'd be willing to say that the sort of the doldrums of Chaos Space Marines are over. I think you are kind of restricted to like Renegade Raiders or maybe the occasional Chaos Cult, but the faction seems like it does just fine because it's like sort of in line with a lot of the other top armies. Got a little bit Leagues of Votann, a little Blood Angels, although this is probably old school Blood Angels, so I don't know how useful that's going to be. How relevant information that's going to have. Also some Necrons and some Adeptus Sororitas. A little bit of a condensed week this week. Not too many factions going undefeated, but we do have some interesting ones. Yeah, I guess we can check and see how many ACDCs they have. This is just one. It is a Renegade Raiders. It's just the one Dark Commune. Mark up the Hound so they get the pregame. So we're just going to take up a bunch of table space with these dudes. It'd be really annoying to deal with. Cypher, a Chaos Lord, Cultist Mob, a Legionary Squad, more Legionaries, double Rubik Marines, a Traitor Guardsman Squad, kind of spicy. Oh, Warp Talons, some ancient technology over here. +2 to Chaos Bikers, 2 Predator Destructors, a Venom Crawler, double Chaos Rhinos. It got double posted. Awkward. And, yeah, double Nurglings. The Nurglings are so important right now, it feels like. Especially, it feels to me like we're kind of, like, slowly heading back to that, a format where you just super duper need, like, anti-scout or anti-infiltrator effects. Because there are so many units, you know, like the Dark Commune, like the ACDC with Scout, that just, like, a mass scout will just kill you, or a mass infiltrate. Although that it is, of course, a little bit tougher on the Dark Commune, because you have to have the upgrade for them. So the Chaos Lord, I guess, is just hanging out with Legionaries. So we have a Legionary squad and then an unattached squad. Which is fine. It's a little, oh, excuse me, interesting. Nice to see it with Chosen. But I guess you can just pay a CP to advance and charge with them anyway, so it doesn't really matter so much. And then we have the big cultists, and we're backing up with a bunch of shooting. 2 Rhinos for the, one for the Legionnaires, one for the, Rubric Marines, or you can mix and match them. 2 Predator Destructors and a Venom Crawler for some backline shooting. Pretty standard stuff, I guess. Nice to see just the one cultist blob. We have also got some more Chaos Space Marines doing well. Warhammer 40k Nationals. This was South Africa, by the way, chat. We got, this was Mexico in the Bajío Open. Also South Africa at the 40k Nationals. And this was, like, big. This was, like, 60 players, if I remember correctly, or 40 players or something. This is a relatively large event, which is cool to see see events, like, popping up all over the world, to be honest, which is super rad. Another good Renegade Raiders. I think that this list had a title, if I remember. I looked it up on BCP. And it was called, I don't like IDK. I just wanted to play Abaddon, and which is certainly what we're doing. Ashley Clutton over here rocking Abaddon. No other characters. No ACDCs today. Cultist Mob, Legionaries, Chaos Rhino.
What does Disco Lord need to see play?
That's an interesting question, chat. The Lord Discordant. He's a little bit awkward because he's expensive, squishy, and doesn't hit very hard. I think unless specifically you're a vehicle. So he's like paying the sins of the past, right? Where he used to be this like such a powerhouse that they were just like never again. So they made this 200 point like basically melee only 9 wound model. Like okay. His melee attack is like really trash. But he has like a cool, it's 1 anti-vehicle attack, and then all his abilities are only anti-vehicle. Make his effects. I'd be a proponent for this just in general, but I think that anti-vehicle or anti-monster effects should be a keyword. Like anti-heavy or something, where it works on big stuff. And I know it's not like thematically appropriate, but I think that would be good. Then you don't get these units that are just unplayable because you could hit an army that's all monsters and they do nothing. Their melee attacks are just bad, just really bad. And their abilities are very like specifically keyed. So I think that at a baseline, if we weren't going to update this data sheet, this dude needs to be way cheaper, right? He needs to be like 60 points cheaper, I think, for you to consider taking him. He's also like not even that fast. He's mounted, right? So he's like it can't go through walls and stuff. So for sure, at the very least, he needs to be like significantly less expensive. I think it would be an interesting design space if he had some cool unit abilities. You know, this model's unit can do a thing, and then he attached into bikers. Because Chaos Bikers don't currently have an attachment, and if you gave them like, what if they get like, I don't know, like +1 to wound against monsters and vehicles, or like +1 to hit against monsters and vehicles. And then he was just this dude who followed bikes around, and you could take big bike squads with a bunch of cool guns on them, and then this guy who punches okay. And I think that would be like kind of sick. You could make a bike Death Star. Maybe I would like to see that, or just make him more of a super solo with better melee attacks. But like this data sheet on like a core level is just fucked. Like it's just like I got an AP1. I have an AP1 and AP2 melee attacks and abilities that only work against vehicles. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, buddy. You're definitely worth as much as a demon prince. Sure. He's so pricey, yeah. Like, if you get the AP bump, right? Like, you get the AP2... and maybe you can get a wound reroll somewhere. And, like, he has Dark Pact, so, like, he might be lethal or something. And it's 2 damage attacks. Like, it's not trash, but it's just so middling. He's an anti-vehicle unit that's not even good at punching vehicles because he's only strength 6. So, like, his lance attack wounds on 5s against T12. So you're like, what is that? Why are we not at least strength 8 and AP2 base? And then we're talking. And then also probably still cheaper. He's just like, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So I don't know. I think there's a couple ways that you could, oop, I knocked it off my backdrop. I think there's a couple ways that you could play around with it. Let me pick that guy up before I forget where he's at. Ooh. My new desk is a little bit thicker. So I'm re-engineering my studio room here, and I'm a little closer to my backdrop than I usually am, so I've got a little bit less space to play with. It's just pricey for me to critique. Yeah, it feels like 130 or something would be like 140 maybe would be good for him. He's also, like, being a fast independent guy, He also doesn't have lone op, right? So like that dude just can get shot. Being like a fast like independent dude usually makes you good for enhancements, because you could put like the all full reroll enhancement on him, and that's pretty okay. But also like, why are we making these dudes more expensive? It's crazy. I do like them thick desks. Yeah, it's very spacious. I do like it right now. And I recorded some videos on it earlier. If I move my monitors to another table, I can actually just clear the desk and then lift it, and I can record like tabletop videos on it, which is sick, which has been super cool. So it may be, and it depends on what I end up actually recording. It may be that I'm able to do more like hands-on tabletop stuff, because I can just do that instead of having to go get a separate table, clear space for it, put shit on top of it, and then like have this annoying thing I have to deal with. This one is much more convenient. So that's also a bonus. We're talking about this Abaddon list though. So it's got one Legionary unit for that Abaddon could join into, I guess. 2 Chaos Biker squads because they rule, 2 Predator Destructors, 3 Chaos Vindicators, a big Warp Talon unit, a Rubric Marine unit, Nurglings, and a Beast of Nurgle. 6 Nurglings, so this is the infiltrating move blocker brick. A Beast of Nurgle just sit on objective somewhere. The big Warp Talon brick is interesting. We have the 3 Chaos Vindicators to blow people up with the Wombo combo. I guess we're only lethal or sustained, but we watched these guys at Crucible, and 1 Chaos Vindicator did enough damage to a Tesseract Vault to kill it in one shot, which was nutty. With Abaddon's buffs and everything active, all the Renegade Raider stuff. The Chaos Rhino is interesting because I guess it's 1 Legionary unit and 1 Rubric squad. If we're not putting Abaddon in the Legionnaire squad, then they can go inside the Rhino. Otherwise, it's a Chaos Rhino that only embarks these Rubric Marines. Which, I mean, I guess is fine, but... And you do need a transport, but it does seem a little bit awkward. That's all the Chaos Space Marines. Limited ACDCs this week, actually. Just 1 out of 2 lists. A 0.5 Accursed Cultists quotient. The ACDCQ. How good is a lone operative command squad in the Vanguard Spearhead? Is it worth looking into outside of Gladius for Dark Angels? I don't hate Vanguard for Dark Angels. It's weird because your Terminators become slow, which is a little bit awkward, but they do have really good synergy with Terminators. My video the other day, I talked about Terminators in Vanguard and Vanguard Spearhead. I think it was okay. The Ravenwing Command Squad, I don't know. Do they like do anything? Because if they shoot you okay, I guess. They're +1 OC. I guess it's fine. I don't know if anyone's like that, like worried about it though, right? They're just like, aha, you can't shoot my Ravenwing guys. And you're like, okay, well, I just won't, I guess. Especially because like they don't attach to anything. I think Lone Operative, if I remember correctly, turns off if you attach to a unit, so they don't like. You can't like make a big squad that can't be shot at. I think that's how that works, right? I imagine so. I think we would definitely hip seed that in other detachments. Yeah, unless you're an attached unit, you just can't be shot. So you have a good melee profile and like some guns, which I guess is okay. But I don't know if I'm like that super into it. They're kind of cheap, I guess, 130. I think it's probably probably worth playing around with. I guess I kind of like it. It just has like this little utility thing that's running around and being fast. Yeah, it's probably okay. I don't know if I would like go out of my way to play it, but I would probably include it if I was playing a Dark Angels Vanguard. If they could attach to a squad and keep Lone Operative, that would be fucking insane, chat. Vanguard Spearhead would have been the straight up the best detachment. Instead of being probably the best Space Marine detachment for a really long time, it would have straight up been the best Space Marine detachment. I think that would have been super nutty. I'm gonna put this on my Terminator Chaplain. or even better, it's like you get you put it on an Apothecary Biologus with, and then either attach in a blade-driven deep guy, so they're lone operative and infiltrate, or you put Marnius Calgar in it, and suddenly they're lone operative, and it's Marnius Calgar running at you. Could you imagine? Oh boy, the game's broken. Look out, it's Marnius Calgar. You can't shoot him, and if you charge him, he runs away, and he redeploys every turn. Incredible. That'd be so sick. You just imagine, like, you're like, I guess I'll... Does their uppy downy put them in strategic reserve? Can you, like... I think it does, right? You can hold them. It is guerrilla tactics. Yeah, you place them in strategic reserve. So you're like, turn one, I'll windmill slam down this like lone operative on Marnius Calgar. Turn two, they're like, you're gonna bring your guy, and you're like, no. And they go, and you're like, rapid ingress, 12.1 inches away. And you're like, oh, no. I can't shoot him, but he's about to charge me. Oh, no. Oh, good. That would have been great. Oh, the enhancement doesn't work on multi-model units. That one I don't know about. Is there any other instance where you can get lone operative on a multi-model unit? What does it say? Is is it in the thing majig? In the enhancement? What's it called? Ghost Weave Cloak, is that right? Yeah. So, the bearer gains lone operative, and lone operative affects the unit. I think it works. Why wouldn't it work? Lone operative says the unit can only be selected as part of a ranged attack. I don't know. That seems okay. Right, the bearer gains lone operative, but lone operative says your unit can only be targeted by X amount. Yeah, it looks fine to me. Unless there's an FAQ I'm unaware of, which there very well could be. This edition's impossible to keep track of. Can we talk about how Kauyan, Monka, and Retaliation Cadre all have a solid 48% win rate? It's impressive that the faction has so many well-performing detachments. Yeah, it's interesting because like they Tau detachments kind of feel like they play very similarly. You know what I mean? Like they all like sort of have analogs for each other's abilities. Obviously, like Kauyan is early game and Monka is late game, but you build you build into the weapons that get affected more by them. But they all kind of have like overlapping stuff, so it does kind of make sense that they would be very consistent. Plus, I feel like a lot of the power of Tau. I don't know. I was gonna say the power, like the Tau's power, is like largely in their data sheets, but I don't know if I want to go that far. There's a lot of combination between their data sheets and their other abilities. It's wild when you see a Monka Breacher team shoot versus the Kauyan Breacher team, because the Kauyan Breacher team like literally does twice as much damage. All right, let's talk about some Necrons, chat. while we're on the Xenos train, Justin Moore, rocking some Hypercrypt Legion. It's got an Arisen Tyrant Plasmancer, a Dimensional Overseer Chronomancer, 2 units of 20 Necron Warriors, 2 units of 5 Deathmarks, a Spider, a Reanimator, Double Doomsday Arc, Monolith. This is a little bit of an awkward list format. But we're just running two Monoliths with Doomsday Arc, so we can Eternity Gate idiots onto your home objective. Although it's from a Monolith that was started on the table to charge with them. Plus the Chronomancer for the shoot and scoot. So we're doing real hard end of game scoring stuff here, Chant. Just rip a warrior unit into your opponent's back line and Chronomancer them onto your opponent's objective. GG. I got my delicious command insertion just fine. There is also some Tyranids over here. So this was 4-0 and 1 at No Surrender. These two players had tied. I think they drew 80 to 80, which is like very specific number in the last game. So they tied and sort of tied for third place essentially, or for second place essentially. John McLaughlin rocking a Crusher Stampede plus Death Leaper, Hive Tyrant, Old One Eye, Garglers, Hormagaunts, a Biovore, triple Exocrines, triple Lictors, a Pyrovore, Trigon, triple Tranifexes. These Crusher Stampede lists have actually been doing kind of well recently because we've talked about multiple of them, and that's really interesting. There must be something to it. So it's Old One Eye with no other buffs, but he does interestingly actually kind of like sort of get a super nutty OC because he heals himself. So an interesting thing is that he starts at OC3. He gets +2 when he's full wounds. If you don't kill him, right? And he can be a little hard to kill in melee because you can like use the deafening roar thing on him. He goes to OC5, which is like equivalent to like a Greater Demon, which is kind of nutty. And then if you damage him, he gets +1 to wound, and then he theoretically heals back in his command phase back to being OC5 potentially if he heals at all. If you got to kill that dude once he commits though, because if he gets all the bonuses and then starts healing, he heals each command phase, so he just constantly regenerates. If you don't kill him, he gets just a trillion wounds back. Plus triple Exocrine, triple Lictors. There's so much forward operating. They're so good, though, so it makes sense. Plus triple Tranifex with Rupture Cannons into Trigon. So we're basically just, like, kind of hoping that we clear infantry just by being Tyranids, right? We have 3 Exocrines to blast people. We have the Stingers off of the top of the Tyrannifexes, which we can't forget about. Plus, the Trigons get 1,000,000 attacks, and you just, like, generally are okay at shooting infantry just fine. I think Old One Eye actually has, like, kind of a cool melee profile, too. Yeah, he's 12 attacks, 26 AP1 profile. And then we're just hoping that we can kill tanks with Tyrannifexes and hope for the best. The benefit is that the Tyrannifexes are extremely difficult to kill with one shot, and I think they go to OC6 when they're top bracket. But the downside is that we don't have any way to repair them or to make them harder to kill. So we're just kind of hoping for the best. But clearly it works. It's a bit of a skew, right? It's just a bunch of T12, which seems good. I'm kind of into this list, honestly. Also some Space Wolves over here. Luke Cruz rocking a Stormlance. Ooh, classic. We did take Herald Deathwolf this time around, though. So he's the troll, the mantle of the wool of the Troll King guy. So he gets it's a damage blank every turn, I believe. After a failed saving throw, so he's just like impossible to kill and runs around by himself. Logan Grimnar, Battle Leader, Wolflord. Plus triple Thunderwolf Cavalry. Interesting question is if we are combo attaching Herald over there. He gives it's devastating wounds to your Thunderwolf attacks, I believe. Yeah, if you make a charge move, your Crushing Teeth and Claws have devastating. So you get, it is a lot. It is 8 times 3, 24 devastating wound, 2 damage attacks because they get +1 damage on the charge. So it's actually like pretty reasonable, to be honest. Once you're fully maxed out. Although you don't have any way to guarantee you get that, so it's probably good for 2 devastating wounds on average. So you're probably good for 4 mortals, which is like okay. That's a solid detachment ability, especially because it buffs some of your AP ones, which can help quite a bit. Plus, assault intercessors, 2 Wolfen squads, a ballistus, and a gladiator lancer for some backline shooting as well. I always like to see the guns in the super aggressive detachments too, because it definitely feels like you can go super hard in on every single, just a bunch of melee attacks, and then your opponent gets to like perfectly out deploy you. All right, and everything else we got is basically there's some Leagues of Votan. Excuse me, chat. The German Major at Bayern, Mathieu Clerc, undefeated with an Einherjar champion with a Praising Glare and a Grim Demeanor Call for the Ignore modifiers. That's so important right now, by the way. To get rid of all the AOC and -1 damage units that we're seeing everywhere. Hearthkin Warriors, Double Sagitors, Chthonian Berserks, a tenor. Whoa! 10 Chthonians. What did we feel we needed 10 Chthonians to punch through? We have a double Hecaton Land Fortress, triple Hernkin Pioneers, double Hernkin Jaegers. So just a lot of utility, making way for the Hernkin Pioneers. And then we have 10 Einherjar Hearthguard with the dude to like teleport in. 1 Hecaton Land Fortress could take the Chthonian Berserks. The other one, I guess, gets the 5er and... Oh, no, a 5er most likely goes in the Sagittor here. I wonder where this call ends up, actually. I almost wonder if he goes into the Hearthguard squad. I feel like he does, right? Like the 6 Plasma Scepters and Stormlands? Yeah, Plasma Scepters are... They're pretty good. The weird thing about Plasma Scepters is that they kind of is like just a long range melee unit. But having like a Gladiator Lancer means your opponent's like, oh, I have to like hide this dude, and then they have to like contort their deployment around it because otherwise you could just kill their tanks in turn 1, even if it's probably unlikely. Can we get a short preview of my thoughts on Space Marine 2? My preview is that I've played like 3 hours. Yeah, to be perfectly honest. So, I'm sorry. I've failed you all. My thoughts were that release week I was in Florida and then didn't get a chance to play it. Is unironically what my thoughts were. I have played 1 mission into the campaign and then some PvP, and I have not touched anything else. Yeah, I don't disagree that, and the Plasma Scepters is cool with the sustained hit stratagem. I do like it. It gives you reach, which is interesting. So like you can, if your opponent's like hiding something important, you can 3-inch deep strike next to them and be like, oath that thing, sustained, full rerolls, and then probably kill it. Yeah, I was like all in on like I'm gonna do a bunch of content about Space Marine 2. I'm like gonna live stream it, and then like everything about it that could have been said, I think was said either fucking 6 weeks before it came out because the like release embargo ended a month before the game launched. Okay, cool, love that. And then I didn't get I applied to be in their influencer program and they did not accept me, probably because I'm mostly tabletop. But and then like I was also out of town, so I was like, well, okay. I don't know. It was bad timing for that game. So like I'm not gonna do like build breakdowns like fucking weeks and weeks after the thing comes out because I haven't had a chance to play it until everyone else has already like broken down every build forever. Nah. I guess I don't know. Yeah, I'm just kind of weird. Also, the fact that the PvP, I don't know. It feels like that game needs DLC. Like the PvP is really bad. I'll be honest. I was really excited for it because I really liked Space Marine 1's PvP, which I know was not the focus of the game, right? But it was a lot. There were like several game modes. There were a bunch of different maps. There's like a lot of weapons and unlocks and stuff. Like the number of combinations that you could assemble in that game was a lot, and you could do funny stuff with it. It was cool. And then you could level up your individual weapons and your weapon perks and get higher level ones. It was a lot. There was a lot of content there. And then this one, I rocked in. I unlocked a gun. I was like, cool. How do I update the gun? How do I level it up? How do I add perks? Oh, there aren't any. Oh, okay. Well, let me look at all the maps. Oh, there's 3. Okay, well, at least there's a lot of game modes, right? No. There's like 2. There's 3, but 2 of them are basically the same. I was like, well, the moment-to-moment gameplay is very good. The amount of content is this big. It's so small. I don't know, chat. I don't know. I don't know if I'm that excited about it. I guess that's my hot take. Is Space Marine 2 is decidedly mediocre. But yeah, I don't know. The King of the Hill mode is like fine, but if your team isn't good, first of all, you can't party an entire team. What the fuck is that? You get a 3-person party for a 6v6 game mode? What? Why? So at best, half your team is on comms, unless your team is communicating via the in-game comms, which I never use because I don't know. I have social anxiety. So when your team is like coordinated and playing together, it's great. Except you cannot guarantee that that's the experience you have because you cannot possibly put enough people into a squad to fully kit out the team. And because it's so low player count, it's this big. If one of the players on your team is underperforming or not listening to communications, you lose instantly. You cannot win any of the team fights. So you need this in order to be able to compete in that game. You need this like perfect storm of factors to like this little tiny Venn diagram. A good team that's also on comms, that also plays together, and also is whatever, and also like just like randomly get RNG'd out or something. And it just doesn't feel worth it, man. I don't know. Like, I like it. I enjoy the game, but it feels like the framework around the game. Also, what's up with the fucking hub area? Why I gotta go into a I'm gonna move my microphone, sorry, chat. Why do I gotta go into this is you have got me off topic here significantly. Why do I have to go into I have to load a 3D hub area to then walk physically to the menu to re-enter quick play? What is that? So I have to go to a loading screen to get to my menu to then go into the next loading screen. Why isn't it just a button? Why can't I be like, queue again? Done. And if I want to mess with any of my loadouts in between that, I have to load, walk to the thing, walk to the servitor guy, the tech priest guy, wait for him to load. Annoyingly, there's an animation that plays when you walk up to him, which, while it doesn't really affect that much, it does take an amount of time for the animation to complete before you are able to interact with the menu. Then wait for the menu to load, then use your loadouts. If you're doing that while in the queue for another game, there is no guarantee that the next game will not begin before you finish messing with your stuff. But you want to hit the button immediately because it takes so fucking long to load in that you want to get back in the queue already. Oh my god. You can fast travel? What is that? I don't know what that is. I don't know. I was like bouncing pretty quickly, to be honest. I don't know, chat. It is what it is. This is a cool Votan list, though. It's got Hecaton land fortresses. It's got a 10-man Chthonian Berserk squad, which you never see. You can teleport between the spots in the hub area? Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. I don't know how to do that. I'll look into it. But that's also, like, this is not communicated at all, right? How was I supposed to know that? Maybe there was a tutorial that I missed, but I don't remember it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like so baffling. It's such a baffling design. Also, just the armor customization, like menu, is impossible. I think it's a port issue between console and PC, but there's no notification that when you click on something, you have to hold it down, right? So like for a while, my friends and I were in the thing trying to customize our armor, and we're like, you click on this, and you click on the customize button. It doesn't do anything. It just clicks, and then nothing happens. It's because you have to hold it, and a little bar fills, and then it opens the menu. First of all, why? Why does it do that? Second of all, that's stupid. Don't do that. What are we doing with our lives? That's an insane thing. If I clicked on something, I clearly wanted to click on it. I didn't want to hold it down. But I think that's because they just ported it from a console, and I bet that's much more common on a console. You also have to switch in the menu and then leave it to switch your hub into the right game mode. Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. In order, like, you have to go to the menu and then click the button to switch game mode, which then, like, switches your character out, and then go back to the menu to queue, and you're like, what? Yeah, it's just... I think that they tried too hard to make it like a very immersive experience, and to such a detriment of the gameplay that it makes playing the game feel like a chore. Has been what I felt like. I don't know. I think it feels like a thing where like we'll get some updates in a month and it'll actually be amazing. But I don't know. Given the fact that I couldn't like put time into it before literally every content creator had made 10 hours of video about it, I was like totally, I don't know, I was just like did not want to play it, to be honest. Which I don't know, yeah. We do have some Adeptus Sororitas here. Nicholas Frome and Dicing Death 2. It's a Bringers of the Flame. It's kind of normal stuff, actually. A triple Immolator, triple Castigator, triple Dominion. God, you're boring! Nicholas Frome. Get better material, dude. Colin K. Anything better? No. Jesus Christ. That one had a Retributor squad. That's kind of cool. There is some Thousand Suns. Damn Legion. We'll jump into them. Aiden Brocklehurst. Also Bringers of the Flame. Triple Canoness. That's kind of fun. Iron Surplus, so the 1 damage lady, Righteous Rage lady, and Fire Fury lady. Double Immolator, triple Castigator. Oh, okay. God, the sisters are so boring. This army is just the same list over and over. Okay. All right. Well, we talked about sisters, chat. The most winningest faction of the weekend. It's just the same list 3 times with 100 points different. All right. Malachi Fowler at Thunderhammer Game Shelf. What do we got? A Cult of Magic with Ahariman, an Exalted Sorcerer with a Crystal, Magnus Thread, a Demon Prince with Lord of Forbidden Lore, and a Zangor Shaman. A Demon Prince with Lord of Forbidden Lore. You love to see it, chat. Does that mean that we're taking a bunch of cool robots? Yeah, we are. Let's go! It's the Magical Chaos Knights. Triple Mutalith Vortex Beast, double Forge Friend. It's real Nico Urea energy over here. A 10-man Rubric squad. And a 5-man as well. I think we're taking the Crystal on the Exalted Sorcerer. That's wild. So the Exalted Sorcerer has Arcane Shield. So he gives the unit a 4+ invuln save. And then regenerates them. So theoretically, this unit can wander up to the middle of the table, be stealth, 4+ invuln save, regenerate if you don't kill them, and then if you engage them, they pull out of melee with the Crystal. Or they just jump into the corner and kill you. Although, to be fair, we're probably doing the 10-man with Ahriman. I missed Ahriman, actually. Yeah, it's probably the 10-man with Ahriman, which is less exciting. But the Exalted Sorcerer at a 10-man could be cool. I think they just die anyway, because the 3+ armor, 4+ invuln is actually not that exciting. But the Unexalted Sorcerer with the Flamer Jumpy squad is okay, too. And everyone's Warp Flamers. We left our Soul Reaper cannons at home. It's so interesting, though, this is an Exalted Sorcerer. Are we at exactly 1,000 points? We must be. Or at exactly 2,000. Because I think otherwise you would take an Infernal Master here. How many points is an Exalted Sorcerer versus an Infernal Master? Like 15 points left? Yeah. He's 100 versus 100 and... Oh, versus 90. What? The Infernal Master's cheaper? The Exalted Sorcerer has a better gun, I guess. If you are not worried about Arcane Vortexing it, it's probably better. Because it gets... It's D6 blast for D3 damage, I believe. Yeah. But he doesn't get the automatic damage. But, like, maybe it's fine. So you're trading a Torrent... The weapons are honestly probably similar. The Astral Blast does more damage, but gets less hits on average. Significantly so. And it doesn't have the automatic wound with the Glimpse of Eternity. But you are getting a 4+ Feel No Pain. Huh. That's curious. Curiouser and curiouser. Tactical Tyrannosaurus died for the sins of all terrible Warhammer games. Chat, Tactical Tyrannosaurus is alive and well. Tactical Tyrannosaurus is not dying. I got off the phone. I talked to... This is very exciting. But I was late today. We were delayed. The stream was delayed today because I had an interview with the lead designer on a game from the 90s. And we had a long discussion about that game. And... it's going to go into the next Tactical Tyrannosaurus video. Oh, Malachi's in the chat. What's up, dude? How's it going? The Exalted does go with the 10-man? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but so many people take him with Ahriman just for the big punch. But it doesn't feel like you need Ahriman so much if you're doom bolting people already. That's cool. Well, thanks for the insight. Do you find that the 4+ invulnerable save keeps the 10-man going very often? Like with the Demon Prince, I assume, is like you can wombo combo them. Oh, I got something in my eye. I'm sorry, chat. I'd be interested to hear how many times the rebind ability actually triggers, because I used to play Exalted Sorcerers, and then they would end up not doing it because everyone would be dead. But... I don't know. Seems like it could be cool. Can you use Cabal points to double move a Mauler Fiend? You can. Like, you can double move literally anything. But you can't charge afterwards. So you can't double move and then... Like, anything with the Thousand Suns keyword, I should say. But you can't use it to extend your melee threat range. But you can use it to get people into position. I don't know if I'm that excited about the Thousand Suns Mauler Fiend, though. What you can do is you can use it on the shooty guys, on Forged Friends and Vortex Beasts, which can get some weird angles, especially if you're giving bonus movement. If you don't need Magnus to double move and you have the use of the ability available, like a Forged Fiend could just walk 20 inches somewhere and shoot someone, which is like a weird angle that a lot of people can't really predict. They end up living with a character plus 3 models left. Oh, sick. All right. Well, that's cool. That's some legitimate innovation for Thousand Suns, which I think is sweet. I've not seen that Wombo combo used very much in the past. So that's awesome. And congratulations on the 5-0, by the way. That's so huge. That's a cool unit. That's a cool old unit over there. These little guys. All right, chat. Anything else that we want to take a peek at? I think we might wrap it up in a moment here. I got some more content to record. We talked about all the Imperial Knights list, yeah. We talked about all them Imperial Knights lists. They were cool. The one from the top one. Fucking, which one was it? Was it Roll for Damage? Yeah. This list is awesome. This list is so cool. It also misspells Rogue Trader. That's even cooler. It's a Rouge Trader now. I don't think that was I think No Surrender was the New Zealand event, though. I think the Roll for Damage, I don't think, was New Zealand. But I don't know that off the top of my head. So yeah, chat. Anyway, I think we will probably go ahead and call it there. A little bit of a slow week this week, but I was working on a lot of stuff this weekend. I didn't get as much time to put together a list as I wanted to, but that's okay. It was pretty cool weekend, to be honest. Astra Militarum with a bunch of wins, Imperial Knights with a bunch of wins. A little bit more interesting than we typically see, to be fair. So yeah. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me. I should be live later this week over on Twitch with some gameplay, some regular old games. And we are getting to the end of some events. The T5S2 GT is running up to the end of its, potentially up to its end. So we'll see how that one breaks down. I'm excited. I might stream the semifinals, to be honest. Although we're not sure if it's going to top cut, because it's a 5-round GT. Will top cut if there's 2 undefeated, so it entirely depends on if there are 2 undefeated at the end. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and pop up. Thanks everyone for chilling with me, and I will see you in the next one. Keep it classy, folks. Cheers.